Imagine a weapon so powerful, so absolute, that once it's triggered, there's no turning back. No off switch, no fail-safe, no last-minute plea for sanity. It's a system designed with one single, terrifying purpose: to automatically destroy the entire planet if its creators are attacked. This sounds like something straight out of a Stanley Kubrick film, a dark piece of science fiction. But what if I told you this isn't fiction? It's real. During the iciest moments of the Cold War, when the world teetered on the brink of nuclear annihilation, the Soviet Union secretly developed a system that embodied this very nightmare. It was officially called Perimeter, but in the West it earned a much more chilling name: the Doomsday Machine. Let's unpack what that really means. The entire concept of Cold War deterrence was built on something called mutually assured destruction, or MAD. The idea was simple. If you launch your nukes at me, I'll launch my nukes at you, and we'll both be wiped off the map. It was a fragile, terrifying balance. But the Soviets asked a critical question. What happens if a surprise decapitation strike from the United States takes out our entire leadership? What if the premier, the top generals, and all the command and control centers in Moscow are vaporized in an instant? Who would be left to give the order to retaliate? Without a response, the MADI doctrine would fail, and the enemy would win. The Soviet solution was Perimeter, a system that would take humans out of the final equation. Its purpose was chillingly logical. If a nuclear attack destroyed the central command and no one was left to give the order, Perimeter would do it for them. It was designed to be the ultimate dead man's switch, ensuring that even from the grave, the Soviet Union would get its revenge, dragging the rest of the world down with it. So, how did this apocalyptic machine work? It wasn't just a big red button under a glass case. It was a complex, semi-automated network of sensors and communication relays spread across the vast expanse of the USSR. The system was in a constant state of monitoring, listening for the telltale signs of a nuclear Armageddon. It used a web of seismic sensors to detect the ground-shaking tremors of multiple nuclear detonations on Soviet soil. It had radiation sensors to sniff the air for the unmistakable radioactive fallout of enemy warheads. It was also connected to specialized communication lines, constantly checking for a signal from the high command. The sequence of events was designed to be methodical and irreversible. First, if the system detected nuclear explosions and simultaneously lost contact with the military leadership at the general staff, a countdown would begin. The system would then try to make a final check. It would look for signals on specific military radio frequencies. If there was still silence, an eerie, definitive silence confirming that the chain of command had been broken, Perimeter would assume the worst had happened. At that moment, the system's cold, calculating logic would take over. It would conclude that the motherland was under a full-scale nuclear assault and that its leaders were dead. This is where it gets truly terrifying. With its grim checklist complete, the system would automatically initiate the launch of one or more special command rockets. These weren't ordinary missiles carrying warheads. Instead, they were flying command posts, designed to soar high above the chaos, the fire, and the fallout. As these rockets traveled across the country, they would broadcast a secure, encrypted launch code, a final, ghostly command to every single nuclear missile silo, submarine, and bomber in the entire Soviet arsenal that had survived the initial attack. From the underground silos in Siberia to the nuclear submarines hiding deep beneath the Arctic ice, every remaining weapon would receive its final order. The command would be simple: launch everything. It would be an all-out, full-scale retaliatory strike aimed at every major city, military base, and industrial center in the United States and its allied nations. No human input. No chance for a last-minute recall. Just pure, automated, global annihilation. The existence of Perimeter was one of the Cold War's most closely guarded secrets. It was only after the collapse of the Soviet Union that high-ranking former officials began to speak about it. In a now-famous interview, Vladimir Yarenich, a colonel who was involved in the system's development, confirmed its existence and its horrifying purpose. He explained that it was created out of a deep-seated fear that the U.S. could win a nuclear war with a single, overwhelming first strike. Perimeter was their ultimate insurance policy. So, does this doomsday machine still exist? That's the billion-dollar question, and the answers are unsettling. While the Cold War is over, the nuclear arsenals are not. Many intelligence analysts and military experts believe that Russia never fully decommissioned the perimeter system. Instead, it's highly likely that it has been maintained, upgraded, and integrated with modern technology. Think about it. Today's AI, advanced satellite surveillance, and hypersonic missiles could make a modern version of perimeter even more responsive, more lethal, and more autonomous than its Cold War predecessor. Some reports claim that the system is still very much active, a silent guardian, or a silent executioner, waiting in the background of global geopolitics. The logic of doomsday devices is also disturbingly contagious. If one country has an automated system to guarantee retaliation, doesn't that create an incentive for other nuclear powers to build their own? It's rumored that other nations, including the United States and China, have developed or are developing similar dead hand systems. While the U.S. has always officially denied having such a system, relying instead on its dispersed command structure and always-on communication with nuclear submarine fleets, the technological capability is certainly there. The concept of an automated response network isn't far-fetched. It's a logical, albeit terrifying, extension of nuclear strategy. We may be living in a world with multiple hidden doomsday machines, each one programmed to end civilization if it feels threatened. This brings us to the most terrifying question of all. What happens if the system makes a mistake? These are complex technological systems designed by fallible human beings. A single software bug, a corrupted data packet, a solar flare that knocks out satellite communications, or a sensor that misinterprets a natural event like an earthquake or a meteor strike. Any of these could potentially trick the system into thinking an attack is underway. Imagine a scenario where a series of unfortunate but non-hostile events perfectly mimics the signals of a decapitation strike. A major communication blackout, a series of seismic events, and a glitch in a radiation sensor could trigger the countdown. With no humans in the loop to apply common sense or to recognize it as a false alarm, the machine would simply follow its programming. The command rocket would launch, the codes would go out, and the world would end. Not because of malice or hatred, but because of a technical error. The end of civilization could be triggered by a single false reading. Whether perimeter and its potential counterparts are still fully active myths or a classified reality, their story serves as the ultimate cautionary tale. They represent the point where our technology outpaces our wisdom. We built machines capable of destroying our world, and then, in a final act of hubris, we considered handing them the keys and walking away. The Doomsday Machine is a stark and perfect reminder that sometimes the scariest weapons aren't the ones aimed at our enemies, but the ones we design to think for themselves, the ones that don't need a human to pull the trigger. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into one of history's most terrifying secrets. If you found this fascinating and a little bit unsettling, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content that explores the hidden corners of our world. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Stay curious and stay safe.